except where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying? Cecil.
Let me get it out the way. I'm going to use something from Park and Rec, Season 7, Episode 10. The Johnny Karate, and it's the Johnny Karate Goodbye episode, I think is what it's called, okay? Using it for fair use. First I'm going to talk about, just the fact that I like it, and how I think that Johnny Karate is pretty much what they actually want us to be in martial arts. And then second, I want to talk about why I think April was crying, which probably may kind of dovetail with the MGTOW community. And third, which I want to do first, is I hate to admit it, and this is going to make me look bad, but there's a part of me that actually agrees with this thing I call from the dark side of the force. If you know me, you know what I'm talking about. So this is one thing that was on there that I think is hilarious. And there are people who look at you like whenever I say, no, I'm going to stop, I'm going to eat healthy. As soon as you try to eat healthy, you got people that come along and try to force this stuff on you or sit up there and question your portion size. Like the last time I had to deal with a food pusher, I'm sitting up there, I'm like, I'm gonna cut back today because I'm already big. I'm eating off a saucer, and she's like, that's all you gonna eat? You just said, and that's all you okay? You don't want to eat more than that, blah, blah, and just shouldn't you eat more than just a little? Woman, I'm like 300 pounds. You don't need to tell me to eat off a real plate. I done had too many real plates. That's why I'm in this situation now. Don't try to force me to eat more. I'm a grown man. I'm able-bodied. I'm actually in pretty good health despite being obese. Fortunately, thank God, literally. So you don't have to tell me how to get more from the buffet. If I'm eating a salsa, just shut up and let me eat my salsa. If you're not my doctor, you don't need to tell me to eat more. So just knock it off, okay? And then that would be the same type of person that will laugh at dear fat people. And of course, what gets me is these people don't have a weight problem themselves. But yet they try to get you to eat. When you want to act right and eat the food that's for suckers, because you want to be as slim as an actual sucker that has the lollipop on top, then they try to get you to eat more. They just get on my nerves. So anyway, though, Johnny Karate, if you haven't seen Park and Rec, it's Chris Pratt's character. It's funny. Chris Pratt is funny. If you remember Guardians of the Galaxy, he's what's his name? Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's the guy that plays Johnny Karate. The thing I'm going to say about Johnny Karate is these days, honestly, I think that's where they want us non-competitors to be. They want us non-competitive martial artists to just do stuff that's for the kids and it's fun for the kids, right? That's why I really like that character on Park and Rec, because the children themselves and adults, if you are trying to actually train children in real martial arts, I shouldn't say real martial arts. I'll say non-competitive martial arts, okay? That's all they understand. They want you to come, you got to be like it's military boot camp if you're not going to be a competitor, or if you're going to be a competitor, so they think you're training them like they're going to be in the army. And while that approach does work for a lot of children that need discipline still, I don't do it because I feel like you're civilians. I don't want to give you a combative mindset. I want to give you a peacemaker mindset. So, and since there are already other people who are doing that, I don't need to do it. And I know what I'm talking about because I was in the military, so I know what happens to you when you come out of boot camp and you think like that. So, no, I'm not going to do that with children, or adults for that matter. And again, not that it's bad. I'm training you for peacetime. And I tell any student too, I've told children this, I tell adults this. Don't get it twisted, okay? I'm nice and everything like that, and I'm not being phony, that's me, and I don't train that way. But if I had to send you off to combat, I'll be just like everybody else. You got to go to war? I'm training you like you're going to war. It'd be yes sir, no sir, knuckle push-ups, kick you in the stomach when you act up, because you're going to combat. The hard part about being a civilian is a lot of your violence is not combat violence. You got to know how to avoid violence. You have to gauge the level of force when violence comes if it's not really truly lethal violence. And then you don't face that every day unless you live in a truly terrible area. Then you may have to go from I'm protecting myself to actually having to maim or kill somebody, even though you don't have the authority to do so. So those levels of force right there, to me, dictate a different type of training, which is the way I approach stuff. So I either want you to be that, or they want you to be sport oriented all the time, just sport, competition. And that's not what I do now because I just don't have time to have combat sport ready kids so that we're hitting up every tournament. But in my twilight years, I may switch to sport, just to give kids something to do. That's fine, if I can still teach that long. So, but there are plenty of people doing that too. So I feel like I don't have to do that because that's not being lost. That aspect is being preserved. And don't get it twisted again. I tell my students this too. Don't get it twisted. That takes a lot of effort and discipline to follow that path too. So just because you're not following that path, don't look down on them. So the thing that I do kind of look down on, though, even though I try not to, is what Johny Karate is. He is teaching morals, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like kids wanted to be in a super fun, yay, it's a game, and not really learn any moves, and not really have to learn how to do a form, and not really have to toe any type of line. It's just fun. Even though we're doing Taekwondo, let's dress up as ninjas and come at each other with fake weapons. That's what kids want. They want to be, it took me all this to say, entertained. They want it to be entertaining. So people usually just understand that it's got to be entertaining, it's got to be militaristic, or it's got to be sport oriented. The whole life growth, true self-defense oriented, fighting oriented without that being your main focus, truly about we're going to use this activity to do what many other activities can do. Personal growth and development. Man, people don't understand that and they don't feel that. But you know what? I'm going to give it to you because I think it's needed. And so that's what I'm going to do. But like I said, that's what the world wants, Johny. That's what they want all of us people to be who are martial artists. Whether you're doing karate or not, they want you to be Johny Karate. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you got Netflix for $15 a month, you can get your Netflix subscription and you can, watch Johny Karate. I think if you just Google online, you could find it for free. But make sure you go to Park and Rec Season 7, Episode 10, The Johny Karate Farewell. Now, my third thing I'm going to take from that episode, I'm going to close. And this is a spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen it, spoilers are coming. April, Andy's wife, is crying. Why is April crying? You may think April is crying because she doesn't want Andy to lose his show. That's not why April's crying. In my opinion, April's crying because she feels guilty and because she knows she's wrong. April wants Andy, a guy who's had a hard time taking care of himself, learning how to function as an adult, finally get something going for himself, something that would be hard for him to duplicate anyplace else. He's got a successful show that's actually benefiting the community. As much as I don't like that approach, if Johny Karate were a real thing and I ran a television station, as much as, like I said, that's not my cup of tea, I will put it on TV though because of its positive benefits. He's got kids looking at something and they're learning self-confidence and they're learning how to problem solve. So for that, I put it on TV, and because it's fun for them too. So you could, the worst way to look at it is you could say Johny Karate's being a clown. He is. He's being an entertainer who's like got a little bit of a message in there. But that is good for Andy. That's the best job that Andy's ever had and probably is ever going to get. I don't see any college degrees with Andy on that show. I don't see Andy learning any trades on that show. I don't see Andy being good at sales. I see Andy being very, very good at music, but his music did not get picked up by a major label. I didn't see Andy selling his own work enough to the point where he would really be lucrative and be a truly successful, viable, independent artist that would raise a family off of just his music. That's not happening for Andy. The move to DC totally benefits April. April could get a job just like that in Pawnee, where Andy didn't have to move away from the one thing that's making him successful. Now, what April also did not do is April did not try to set things up so that when she moves to DC, Andy takes that character and goes to a studio in DC where he can film Johnny Karate from DC. Because I don't know why he wouldn't be able to go to that market, go to probably a bigger market in DC, and he's doing Johnny Karate there in DC with her. Okay? Or why weren't they trying to pitch Johnny Karate to go to a major network? Or even if it didn't go to one of the big networks, to go to a larger network. Could CCW pick up Johnny Karate? Or Andy works out a deal where he gets royalties from the image and likeness of Johnny Karate. And there are different types of Johnny Karates. You know, there's a Japanese version, a Chinese version, and a Eritrean version, a Nigerian version, a Mexican version, an Ecuadorian version. They got a version, in London. You see what I'm saying? An Australian version, an Indian version, a version in Pakistan. No, you don't see them. You don't see her trying to get Johnny Karate to be globally syndicated because April is being selfish and Andy is too weak to realize that he actually should be cutting April loose. If she's insisting on making him stop the peak of his success so that she can finally decide to grow up and just get a job. Just a job. It is just a job. And again, a type of job that she could get where she is. And even if it's a foundation, she could start a foundation in Indiana that did what she was doing in DC. She already had a job. Andy had a hard time getting a job. Andy was the one who had a hard time starting off. She didn't. So really, I would say unless she's getting, and it's not even worth moving for six figures, because it looks like where they live, they had a low cost of living, so it's not like they needed a six-figure income. Unless she's making seven figures from that job, it's not worth that couple moving over there. Okay? Now, a lot of people are going to get mad at me for saying this part in the video because they feel like, well, if you love your wife, you should move if your wife wants to move so that she can feel happy in her career. I say that depends. It all depends upon if you have a job skill that you can do where she wants you to move to, okay, then you can move for her career. Or you can't duplicate your job skill, but you'd be a freaking idiot not to move because this woman is going to be like Oprah, okay? Then you Stedman up. But unless she's Oprah, you do not need to be Stedman, especially somebody that's like Andy, that I think if that was a real person, Andy probably suffered from some type of depression. He could not hold down a full-time job. He finally gets to where he's doing something like that, and then you take it from him. You are selfish. You only love yourself. You have whipped that man. That man does not have enough sense to realize it's time for him to get out of that marriage, or they don't live together and they commute to see each other. Because if Andy were my son, I'd tell him you shouldn't be moving to DC for her. Because you have had a hard, rough going, and you finally got yourself off the ground. You should just keep doing that. Now, if Johnny Karate was starting to tank in the ratings and it's over, it's ran its course, and then a job comes up, that's different. That's why I say it depends. But at the point where they are in that show, April is crying because April knows that she's wrong for making Andy move. Andy is being too nice and deciding to just go ahead and go along with April because he loves her. Well, the thing is, if April loved Andy more than she loved herself, because Andy loves April more than he loves himself, that's why he's willing to completely kill what he's doing artistically to support her. Okay? Again, it's not like he's some guy like me that like could actually get a job and you're gonna make more at your regular job than you're making with your artsy jobs. So just get the benefits in the 401k and stuff because you're capable. Andy was not capable of functioning in regular society. Okay? Even if he wasn't doing it. So she's taking the best thing that ever happened to him just so she could have the best thing that ever happened to her. And it's not like the best thing that ever happened to her couldn't happen right where she was. That's my opinion on it. So, hate me if you want. That's just what I think. So,